Hey man, welcome out to channel14.com's Bodega Nights. I'm Joao, that's Norm, and Martin is recording Third World Gaming, I think.
Yeah, we're doing a multicast kind of episode in different locations.
Right. And if I remember correctly, we've actually done something similar to this before, like back in, shall we call it, the heyday of Channel 14, where everybody was like recording Bodega Nights, and then AG and I just sort of dropped out and recorded a Third World Linux episode and popped back into the Bodega Nights.
Yeah.
Like, I seem to remember that happening once or twice. And also, if Norm sounds a little bit different today, it's because he doesn't have his microphone. So, there we go.
The wonders of technical limitations.
But it's all about the content, right? It isn't about, like, the technical side of things.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine the listeners are listening in to what we say and not necessarily how we sound, I guess. But we'll find out.
once like the numbers for this episode comes in and it's like minuscule.
Really boils down to the quality of the voice. Dang.
Man, so as we're recording this, most of the Philippines is coming into what we're terming as general community quarantine. So, when is the second wave coming?
Is there a second wave? I mean, it's not like coffee, you know. You contest that there's even a first wave, right? Like, we're not even done with the initial one. We haven't even... we don't have an idea yet of how bad the situation actually is to call it a first wave.
So this is like the 0.5 wave.
We're on the eve of the beginning of the second outbreak, I believe, in the Philippines. And like a bunch of people know that.
Yeah, which is pretty good though. Because like that means not too many people are going to be going out, I hope.
We hope, but you know, the people who can choose to not go won't, and the people who can't afford to will have to. I mean, that's the socio-economic divide right there.
Right. So, like, wait. What about you, dude? Like, do you have to show up at work?
I hope I don't have to. We haven't been told yet to exactly physically go to work.
Right. But, like, so far...
So far, no. We haven't. There's no return to work order coming in. Order.
Right. But like you've been able to get a lot of your work done like from home, right?
Yeah. Thankfully the magic of email and online systems makes it possible for us to do most, or if not all, of the work online. It's just a little bit more complicated because you can't just go to the other room and poke the person whose deadline has passed to follow up. You know. It's not that easy anymore.
Yeah.
They can just choose to ignore all channels. You call, you text. That's really all.
Man, this is why, like, I'm actually really thankful for the boss that I have. Because, like, she's the type of person that will look for the most efficient way to get something done. And there was one day that she, like, had a meeting with all of us. And then after that, she had like individual meetings with each of us. And after that day, she just said like, "All right, I've come to the conclusion that anything that's going to be, or anything that can be an email is going to be an email." And ever since then, we've been getting like emails, I don't know, like every other day or something, saying that like, all right, so here's what we have to do for the day, or here's what we have to do for the week. And like we keep our meetings to a minimum, and only if we need to like discuss something as a group. So that's something that's that's something that I'm quite thankful for.
Well, that's great. I mean, I think it really boils down to how your management is able to, manage the staff and the workflow, right?
Yep. So I cleaned my room today. And it's oh man, such first world problems, man. It's So I have a smart plug for my air conditioner, and it's kind of been acting up, and I think it's the problem of the app or something. So I haven't been able to turn my air conditioner on using my phone.
You're right. This is a first world problem.
It's total first world problem. So like, I was cleaning my room without the air conditioner. It's like, let's sweat a little bit, man. The electric bills have been really high lately. We can do this, and then after like a couple of hours, like, all right, time to turn on the air conditioner.
It won't turn on.
It won't turn on, dude. Like, sad life.
Patay.
But I don't know, man.
I mean, like, why is there no way to turn it on manually anymore? Are there no buttons on the thing? That's why you have to resort. There isn't even a remote control. You have to resort to a phone app.
Yeah. So I just unplugged the thing. I just like removed the plug and just plugged it in directly to the wall and did it like old school. Old school. That's so sad that I say it. It's so dumb that I say it like that. But I don't know. Yeah, first world problem, but at the same time really cool because I get to schedule the air conditioner a lot more efficiently, I guess. Like, I can have it turn on, turn off down to the minute and have it repeating, so I can just sort of set it and forget it.
It's kind of like an amazing thing to think about. Like, huge segue, but it's like technological progress is really fast if you consider it. It wasn't so long ago when we were kids, and we only had like probably electric fans, and the further on we go, you have the air conditioners and the more fancy stuff available at home. And now you've got your air conditioner, which you can only access using your phone.
Right. But I don't know, man. Funnily enough, it has saved money on the electric bill, right? Because like the air conditioner is on for like the minimum amount of time. Like, it's just enough time for me to like walk into my room for it to be cold, fall asleep, and once I'm asleep, which usually takes like an hour or two, the thing turns off. So my air conditioner is on maximum like 3 hours a day.
That's nice.
Which is right. So it's probably worth the price of entry, right?
It has paid for what it does.
Yeah. Same with my lights.
The first world lights. Do they also respond to your phone?
Yeah. So like, I don't know. I completely sold out, man. Like,
I don't know. We still have like this one fluorescent bulb in the house. It still hasn't died, so we haven't replaced it. So I mean, with that tin round capacitor, I forget.
Yeah. Something that I did was for the light downstairs. I used an adapter. So it's like this thing that you screw into like the light socket or whatever, and then you screw the light into the adapter. And like,
that's how it works.
Yeah, and it's essentially like a smart bulb, which is really cool.
Huh. That's better. Well, better than having the bulb integrated with the wireless functionality, I imagine.
Yeah.
Like, throw away the bulb, throw away the router.
Yeah, that's the problem though. If you have like problems with the internet, like, things can get pretty manual. Oh, I have to flip a switch.
How do I do that when my phone is dead and my charger is missing? No.
Flip this switch, like physically flip the switch using your phone.
I'm stuck with a neon pink room. No.
Man, that's something that I really want to do though. Like when I start teaching my classes online, wanna be like, alright class, I'm not going to outwardly express any sort of anger. I'm not going to yell, but when I start getting angry, the lights will turn red.
Like an ominous movie, what was that? Movie theme, yeah.
Yeah, dude, like the lights start turning red. okay, class. And then just get like really passive aggressive with them.
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh yeah, that'd be really cool too if I play like the Imperial March in the background. Or like I could set the lights to sort of like change like their luminosity or whatever, like to make them like brighter and darker, like automatically, and mess with them. Be like, my grandmother died in this room. So if things start getting wonky, man, like you just understand. Then like the lights start flickering.
For a graded recitation, the worse they get it, the redder the room gets.
Oh, that's so cool! Like if it's correct, blue.
Yay!
Or like green. Or if it's wrong, red. That'd be amazing.
Start conditioning them to be wary of the red light.
But then at the same time, though, I'm thinking of using a green screen, right? Like one of them douchey YouTubers, you know, like pop open OBS and have like a green screen for the PowerPoint presentations and have my head like right at the bottom, and maybe like include a picture of the class and maybe have like a picture of like the classroom as the background, you know, just to like mess with it. I don't know.
Maybe it's the future, Joe. We might be making fun of it now, but it might be the future for all of us.
Yeah, dude. But like it's like what AG was talking about like the last time he was on Bodega Nights. What was it that he said? Like we have to go where the kids are, right? I don't particularly agree with him 100% on that. Like I wouldn't have a school Discord, for example, because, you know, keep school in Google Meet or whatever, or whatever, like, LMS they're going to use. I'm hoping they use Canvas. But, like, keep school there. That way the kids can have their sacred Minecraft space in Discord. You know, it's sort of like, you're not supposed to cross streams, right?
Yeah. Having different social channels for different things. Yeah, it's not just a different chat room; it's a different atmosphere altogether.
Right, but then at the same time, I get the feeling that, or at the same time, I need to use the language of the kids, right? So that means sort of using the visual language of, say, a Twitch streamer, because that's sort of what they're used to. And the way that works, or the way like the sort of quote unquote YouTube tutorial sort of thing works, is freaking you have like your presentation or whatever it is as the big thing that you see on screen, but that doesn't mean that the teacher is like off screen, right? She's like right in the bottom.
Yeah.
So that's sort of like the visual language that the kids are used to, and I'm trying to find a way to sort of adapt that into my to adopt that language into my lessons, particularly since I'm a media literacy teacher. So it would really suck if the media literacy teacher wasn't like up to date, right?
That's absolutely necessary. That's gonna be fun. I imagine the challenge there is gonna be like, how do you visualize lessons? There's a huge difference between what let's say a video game streamer does, and let's say what a normal class lesson PowerPoint is in terms of dynamics and visuals.
Yeah.
So you gotta be more animated, I guess, somehow in that smaller box of yours on the screen.
Yeah, hence the red light. But it's sort of a lot has to change. Like I'm not gonna be able to do the hour-long lecture anymore, which is something that I'm kind of gonna miss, you know.
But do you though? Like I hate to like interrupt, but I gotta raise the question: do you have to be there live, right, to teach the lessons? Because we have YouTube channels that are dedicated to some like docuseries. They're pretty educational, entertaining, and then they don't have to be live. They're just up there on YouTube.
Yeah. That if it were completely up to me, like that's how the majority of contact time with the students would be. Like I just put together a video, put it up on like the Google Drive or freaking I think they're going Microsoft, right? So I'll just put it up on the OneDrive, and they watch. But at the same time, something that's really missing with virtual education is that sort of meaningful connection that you make with another human being. So in a school that can afford to have faster internet connections, or where the kids can afford to have faster internet connections, it would only seem right to have some sort of synchronous element to their education. Because if it's sort of purely asynchronous, then you're taking away what's left of the human element of education. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's even if the synchronous portion isn't as interactive as a classroom, it's still kind of important in a way.
I don't disagree. I'm just trying to imagine how that could happen, and I'm not really seeing it right now. But that's a limitation of my imagination.
The plan that I have it involves the chat, right? So the online component of virtual education, the online component,
really making it hard for you to explain this.
Yeah. How do you put this? My plan is to talk like 5-10 minutes at a time. That's it. Like after about 5 minutes, after about 5 or 10 minutes, open the floor for questions. People don't necessarily have to speak into their microphones. They can just drop their questions in the chat or any comments that they have. And if anybody wants to comment on that, then they can either speak or use the chat function, right? So that sort of thing. Again, it's sort of the language of live content on the internet, right? The chat is quite central to the entire experience for the viewer and the content creator. So that's something that I probably should be, or that I do plan to leverage, right?
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Not another question would be would a lot of teachers be able to adopt this? Because there's going to be a lot of educators who won't be able to adopt the streaming persona, I guess, or the performance necessary for that kind of discussion. Or am I wrong?
Oh, it's gonna be a complete show. Like I don't doubt that one bit. But at least, try to come in with a plan.
Yeah, the first iteration of anything is going to be right?
Yeah.
So, this too, just going to have to iron it out as we go along.
I'm actually lucky, dude, because we've been podcasting for,
years.
Close to 10 years now. So, at least the talking into a microphone part isn't something that is particularly difficult for me anymore. What's going to be tough is looking straight at the camera and sort of sitting still.
So you're going to have like that kind of acting moment where you're trying to pass empathy onto a camera.
With like the puppy dog eyes.
Like, please do your assignments. Like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe.
And on that note, if you're listening, please support us with our Patreon. It's on channel14.com. It's that Patreon button on the right side of the screen.
I fully intend to plug all of our stuff, subtly include references to the podcast on and maybe drop a link or something.
That's gonna be a challenge. I'm looking forward to hearing the stories about it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. But then at the same time, I feel part of me doesn't want my students to listen to the podcast. If Third World Linux was still active, I have the teacher persona. But then once I'm on Third World Linux, if you listen to some of those old episodes, it's the complete opposite of what I'm supposed to be as a high school teacher.
Ah.
Right, and it sort of bleeds into Bodega Nights as well, even though what I was on Third World Linux is a lot more toned down on Bodega Nights. Like, it's still sort of there, you know? The stuff that could get me, like, either fired or arrested for terrorism once that new bill was passed into
I guess
law.
there are some episodes we're gonna have to delete. Is it, like, I was like, is there, I mentioned the riot in the Radio Norm episode, do I have to delete that now?
This is how liberty dies. If I may quote that one terrible Star Wars movie.
With thunderous applause.
For the most part, right? For the most part, I haven't really been, bitching too much about the government and all of that. I mean, not as much as, say, like I used to on Third World Linux, right?
Right.
I suppose it's something that comes with age. We just become so desensitized to all of the bull that the government, like, we just forget it. But this anti-terrorism bill that they're trying to push, like, isn't the Human Security Act sufficient to curb terrorism? And it's just the effective implementation of that old law that could help, right? Like, I don't know, man. They could be doing more productive things with their time, this Congress of ours. They could be doing stuff like maybe talking about franchise renewal.
Or, an actual plan for COVID. I agree they could be doing something much, much more productive.
Right? Instead of, like, trying to silence dissent.
And why, though? I mean, like, do you really expect people to not complain at this time? You're doing a really job. That's dissent. It's treason. You're gonna be arrested. Well, we're gonna have to live with it for a little bit longer, given the state of progress.
And speaking of progress, they finally, the government finally gave up, Like, I get the feeling that this whole, like, sudden shift, or this whole shift to sort of relaxing the lockdown is essentially the government just saying, all right, public sector, or like, all right, private sector, just whatever.
Privatize. Yeah.
And like, not specifically testing, but like just them saying do whatever.
It's really got me. Everybody's worried for a lot of different reasons. Majority of it is because nobody wants to get sick with COVID.
Yeah.
And it's been kind of like the lack of transparency is just straight up worrying in general.
Yeah.
Like, at what point, where are we? How safe are we? We don't know. But we're relaxing the laws for quarantine. Why? Just because.
Well, because people need to get back to work.
That's the baseline of it. That's the only reason why we're doing it, because people gotta work. And
yeah,
that's it. That's I don't know. I feel disappointed by that, Joao. Like,
what do you mean? Like, why?
Because I guess that's the laziest way to do it. Like, why? If we break that down, like, okay, well, we're relaxing the laws. Why? Because people gotta work. Why? Because people gotta earn money. Why? Because people gotta eat. There's a lot of other motivations, of course, but it's if we're able to fix the core issues, you don't have to necessarily go back to the same work.
Oh man, fixing the core issues.
But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of progress that probably will not be able to do because speed.
Now, this is actually something that I've been thinking about for, like, in relation to the pandemic, right? There is such distrust in our government as an institution, and I was thinking, like, why? And I refuse to believe that it is something that happened because of our current president, right? Like, sure, I don't trust our government, but I didn't trust the previous government.
It's a healthy thing to do, not trust your government.
Right? But like, only a fool would say that I can trust my government completely. But in the Philippines, whoever or whichever party or whoever is in power, there's always that level of distrust because we know that these guys are corrupting a lot of like our taxpayer pesos, right? Taxation is theft.
I suppose it's not hard to do, especially when you're like when we've given the history that we've had, like in the region of, let's say, ASEAN, just economies wise, we were once one of the rising, the Asian tiger, was it called? One of the best economies in Asia way back when, and that was before COVID, when we were kids, right? And then you see Vietnam and you see Thailand, and they're doing much better now than we are, and you gotta ask, like, what happened? Where did that all go?
I would like to think that it's just so baked into our political system. Like if we look at every single president that we've had, it's all the same problems that we have now. Freaking political dynasties, corruption, people screwing each other, you know? The thing that struck me the most was Andres Bonifacio, who was cheated out of the first presidency. Like as early as the first president of the republic, right? As early as Aguinaldo, we've already had like dirty politics. And so from then until now,
it's the same.
We have slowly but surely been building this distrust of our government. And after all those years of history, when it counts, when we actually need to trust the government,
we can't.
We can't. And our government isn't doing anything to get us to trust them.
Yeah, they've been very consistently capable of dropping the ball every time. It's a weird thing. I mean, we've gone, as a country, we've gone through so many typhoons, so many disasters, natural, viral, you know. Southeast Asia's been getting it for how many times in the past 10 years? And every massive thing, it's like the leaders are just doing the bare minimum of doing their, all right, we'll do these handouts, we'll give you food, here's some rice.
essentially vote buying.
Vote for me.
Yeah.
And now when you actually need tough leadership, it's really hard to come by. Especially when they created this ecosystem that allows them to keep doing what they are doing. And we kind of just say thanks for whatever we do get. Yeah?
Yeah.
This is what we got. Thanks, guys. I generally hope that everybody gets their shit together.
Oh, yeah. We are... I don't know.
Tomorrow is a new day. Metro Manila will find the general community quarantine on full active roster without the transportation system that can support it. I mean, the public transport system in Manila is like, it was straining to contain the crowds before at full capacity, and now with half capacity and limited buses, limited transport capacity in general, is just, I really don't know how a lot of the people who are supposed to need to get to work are gonna get there, especially if the system is kind of rigged against them.
Yeah, so that's why I'm really hoping that 60% maybe. No, it can't, because it's at full. We have to get something like 70% of people working to work from home in order for their proposed social distancing measures for like public transport to work, huh?
Yeah. A lot of jobs will definitely be eliminated by this. And that's what I'm seeing. It's like, future-wise, if this goes on somehow for 5 long years, God willing it doesn't, it's a huge ton of jobs will be gone. Just...
Yeah.
And we're gonna have to re-educate, retool ourselves, re-equip ourselves for different work.
Right, which quite sadly is easy enough for us.
Yeah, we're the privileged few. Yeah.
Right, as because we actually have access and consistent access to the internet.
We also have access. We also have the technology for it too. So that's also a factor. Not every home has a computer now. Everybody just makes do with a cell phone. So it used to be you could maybe do some paperwork because every house has a PC or something. But now, no.
You need that internet connection that's quite expensive.
Yes.
Like
it's gatekeeping prices. And it's not gonna get any cheaper anytime soon.
It depends on what happens when a fully foreign-owned telco makes its way to the Philippines.
We'll find out. I mean, they're also battling COVID.
Yeah, but like, imagine Google Fiber or whatever coming to the Philippines. It's just like freaking pipe dream. Imagine something like that coming in and not having to partner with a local company. What that would do to the rest of the telcos, or what that would do to the other two telcos that we have, right?
I imagine, like, what is this? There's going to be a huge surge in social media use, definitely, if not even more so. We've only been able to maximize internet use in, the major provinces and Metro Manila so far. We haven't actually reached all of the Philippines yet, right? Because islands, But once we do, that's going to be great. For the resurgence of economy, though, I imagine, like... Where are we? A vast majority of workers can shift to logistics work?
Man, this is something that I can't believe I'm going to say. But, as much as I didn't like Arroyo as a president, there was one thing that she got right, which is exactly where the next administration dropped the ball on. She got the Roro right.
Huh.
Something that is really difficult to do in the Philippines is drive from Manila to Cebu or drive from Manila to Cagayan de Oro, right?
Yeah.
And like when it comes to logistics and when it comes to getting goods from point A to point B, probably the best way to do it is to have it on one truck the entire journey, right? Instead of having to stop, unload at a port, get that on a boat, and then on the next island unload from the boat, put it on the next truck, etc. The entire Roro system was supposed to bridge that gap by getting a whole bunch of boats that a whole bunch of cars could get on and go from island to island.
That's one way to do it, yeah.
Right? Because it would be impossible, well, not impossible, but it wouldn't be cost effective for us to build bridges and tunnels connecting all of the islands of the Philippines, as cool as that would be, right? So the solution that the Arroyo administration came up with was, let's just get boats that cars can go on to effectively connect the islands.
All right.
Next administration said not made here, so it just fell into disarray or whatever. No, I'm not sure what the word I'm looking for is, but like a lot of ports that would have been for this inter-island boat system just are now overgrown with weeds and stuff.
Oh, all right. So they were just, put aside.
Yeah. And current administration hasn't done anything to sort of help inter-island travel either.
But they had this huge build plan.
Yeah.
I kind of lost track of how many roads they were supposed to build, but it's moot now because most of them can't be built. Trying to keep track of promises is tiring.
This is Donald Trump's fault, right? Because Donald Trump made it in vogue to not tell the truth.
So now it's okay.
Yeah, or to say so much that truth becomes irrelevant. Like I forgot the author's name, but there was this philosopher that talked about this concept called bullshit, which is where truth or falsehood doesn't matter in your statement, or in a statement. All that matters is convincing or something. It's been a while. It's been about a year since I've read it. But yeah, truth or falsehood of your statement doesn't matter. And his argument is that bullshit is probably worse than lying, because a liar will admit truth and choose to disregard it, whereas a bullshitter doesn't doesn't acknowledge that there is a truth.
That's great.
Yeah, and by that definition, a lot of world leaders now are elected bullshitters, right? Because like the way they speak, it's that you get the feeling that truth or falsehood doesn't matter. All that matters is the narrative. Very postmodern in that way.
It's very meta, is what it is. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, why? It's you're just throwing the lack of logic into the face of it. It's like,
yeah, huh? It's like I see your falsehood and throw you something.
yeah, it's like, doesn't matter.
Or like I see. Yeah, that's quite sad.
That's the thing with most of the leaders, populist leaders that got to power these days, is you give the masses hope, and you don't even have to make promises. You don't even have to come up with a plan. It's just, we're gonna do it. Do what? Do it. We're gonna do it. We're gonna be big.
Another thing that really frustrates me is that it's become a false dichotomy. It's become essentially a false dichotomy because I hate this. I hate the rise of populist leaders almost as much as I hate traditional politics, And the rise of these admittedly terrible populist leaders was a direct response to politics as usual.
Is there no other alternative, though? It's like everybody's allergic to. It's going to be a long road ahead, but we're going to get through it together. There's going to be a lot of stuff you need to do. Everybody wants, like, the silver bullet, the magic spell. Like, we'll end corruption. That's it. That's the plan. We'll just stop it. 6 months. Done.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Libertarianism. Taxation is theft. I don't know. It's
the world is in a strange place again, Joe. This is why.
Yeah, dude.
See, this is why I was like so hesitant to do a 2-man Bodega Nights talk, especially with me in it, because most of my podcasts only last like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
There's a reason why I keep going on. It's depressing AF.
And you know what I've found from like editing the Bodega Nights episodes? You and I are the most quiet. Right? Like, we're usually just listening to, like, Miko try to understand what he's saying, And Martin, he's also quite talkative.
Yeah, they have a lot to talk about, and it's really easy to process the conversation in the background while they do so.
And AG, dude, that one time that AG was here, he probably... the one time that he was here recently, he probably hogged like 80% of like all the airtime, which was funny.
He missed the show. He had a lot to say. He's been gone a while.
Yeah, so like while editing the episodes, the two of us were the more quiet ones, which is pretty cool. That the two of us end up on the 2-man Bodega Nights. This is like the most chill episode we've had in years.
It's one of the most somber ones.
I don't know, man. There's like an underlying anger in this episode, but we're so chill about it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
See, the world's going up in flames. Yeah, I know. Are you angry about it? Yeah, I know. I am. Are you up in arms about it? Not really. It's like, I don't know if it's going to contribute positively or not to it, so I'm just not. I haven't decided yet.
Well, I think that anybody in our group, dude, like, if we take to the streets, be too tempted to like break stuff, which is counterproductive.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely not gonna help things. What I remember this thing on Twitter I saw about, what was that? Everybody ignoring a waffle place and looting everything else around it. I just found that funny.
So you're saying that we'd be the ones that would loot the waffle place?
Yes. We'd be the ones who would be like, we'd be part of the looting, but we'll take a break, eat some waffles, and then go home. Right? Be like, yells! Waffles! I just wanted waffles.
That's our entire reason for going out, and we just end up like happening to run into street protests.
And then going out for waffles after. Like it's a regular thing.
That's really Forrest Gumpish. It just happens to be like at the significant points of history or whatever the premise of Forrest Gump was.
Oh yeah. He invented the smiley. He was the longest distance runner.
He was the one that got Elvis Presley famous.
And then what was that? He also won a ping pong match against the Chinese. Forrest Gump.
Yeah, I like that movie.
We need a Forrest Gump for 2020. That's what it means, man. It's like, like your cousin always says, life is a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
Martin can be Martin can be like the Forrest Gump, you know?
He's just there, happens to be there when hits the fan.
Yeah, like right now, because he's essentially a frontliner for the Philippine government.
That's true. Yes, he's a frontliner in one of the deadliest places in the world for COVID, Brazil.
Yeah, so not only COVID.
That's beside the normal danger that he chose to put himself into.
He could have said no.
No. He was like those astronauts that launched today. They were like, chance to get out of the Earth. Yes, I would like that ticket. Could be worse out there.
He could have insisted on the Beijing assignment.
If he did that, I doubt he'd be able to join the podcast. Censored right before we enter.
That's true, huh?
We'll be holding the podcast over, what's it? Weibo or something.
That would be an interesting thought experiment. What would have happened if Martin took that Beijing assignment? Like, would we all have to get Weibo or whatever the social media thing is there to keep in touch? Or would he just, drop off the face of the earth to us for like 6 years?
Well, what I do know is he will still be complaining about the smelly neighbors.
Let's see, is there Zoom in China?
It should be. It's a Tencent company.
It is?
Not Tencent. But they got in trouble because they've been sending data somewhere in China or Taiwan or something. Right? Maybe there's Zoom. Maybe they have their own version of Zoom. And we'd have to download it onto our laptops. Like, get the warnings. It's been flagged for piracy violations.
Well, yeah, it does look like Zoom is a thing in China. But, interesting. Zoom is banned by Taiwan's government over China's security fears.
See? There's real beef now with Taiwan.
This is why I don't like the presidential spokesperson.
Of Taiwan?
No, of the Philippines.
Oh.
Because he's not wrong about the relationship between Taiwan and China and how the world views the relationship between Taiwan and China, right? It's like everybody just sort of accepts that Taiwan is part of China, but kind of act as though Taiwan isn't part of China. Like,
it's that cousin that constantly disowns you.
Yeah, but that's sort of how it is. Like, there is this understanding by the international community that we tell the mainland that we don't recognize Taiwan, while at the same time deal with Taiwan as though they are an independent state.
It's politics at its truest. It's the best of both worlds. Technically, we're right on both accounts.
Yeah, but then, and it's one of those things that you're just not supposed to talk about in politics. And, like, the presidential spokesperson was just like, he brought it up. You're not supposed to bring that up, But
he did, and now we're here.
Man, it's really sad, though. Like thinking about it, Taiwan is actually quite sad. Like, the whole situation. How they were essentially, like, pushed out of the international community. Yeah, like, ever since 1949, 1948, thereabouts, when the Communist Party took over the mainland, they sort of pushed the government that is now Taiwan.
See, I feel a little guilty that I don't know the history of this being part Chinese, but couldn't they just pull a Singapore?
Yeah, but this is the interesting thing. Taiwan still officially maintains that it is the rightful government over the mainland.
What? China is theirs.
And they aren't wrong. Think about it like if the communists took over the Philippines, right? And they pushed the government that we have now to Palawan.
Right.
Okay? So what we have is the communists effectively ruling the whole Philippines with the exception of Palawan. And then wait 60 years.
You have two authentic governing bodies.
Yeah. Diba? So Taiwan maintains that it is the government of the entire China.
Huh.
Because they were kicked out, you know?
See, it's just, the most interesting part about this, and like I said, it wouldn't really cross our minds as much if it weren't for the backdrop that we're doing this in the middle of pandemic, guys. We're not supposed to be talking about whatever struggles we had before. That's supposed to be small time stuff. Why is it the forefront? And the virus is the background, right?
Yeah. I like the imagery of that, though. Like, Oh, the other thing is that the other reason that Taiwan can't just Singapore it up is because China maintains that Taiwan is part of China.
What you mentioned about China and insisting that Taiwan is theirs is weird. Trying to run it through the Philippines analogy you went through earlier, just to make it simpler and smaller. But yeah, it feels weird. Because, if it was really truly yours, you wouldn't let them govern it on their own.
Yeah, so, I don't know.
Which brings us to Hong Kong.
It was really funny. I read a news story that the government of Taiwan is offering asylum to people that flee from Hong Kong.
That's nice of them to do.
In my mind, I was wondering what the Chinese Communist Party thinks of that. Like, do they see that as domestic travel?
They can't acknowledge it as non-domestic. That's goes against the policy, guys. We can't do that.
Right? Like, to quote Navy 504, checkmate, China.
Right? Either they can and Hong Kong citizens can avail of it and they'll be safe, or they can't and China will have to back it up.
Yeah. It's domestic travel. But then, I don't know what the rules are. What China thinks its rules are when it comes to domestic travel, but... We're
slowly figuring out that China makes its own rules. It's the economic power we gave them.
Yeah. I wonder if Martin, put a goat head outside his neighbor's wall, outside his neighbor's door.
See, the idea there is Martin would either would have to find a goat head in the first place, which is going to be a weird place to ask for in a weird thing to ask for in a market, and secondly, I have this visual image of Martin beheading a goat, and that just makes it funnier. Like, what else does he do with the rest of the body? Just staple the goat head?
I don't know. But let's leave the listener with the image of Martin holding the head of a goat.
Triumphantly.
Yep.